Hello, I'm Janna, and welcome back to the Crafty Corner. Today, we have got a small art hole to go through, and I've also got my hands on Scorched Timber. So, of course, we're going to be having a good play with that too today. If you'd like to see which sort of materials I'll be using for the card today, go ahead and pause here. All right, let's head over to the Crafty Corner. Super excited. Lots of fun things have just arrived in the mail. So we're going to be doing a quick overview of this crafty haul before we start diving into today's video. And here we go. This is what has most recently arrived in the mail. We've got some Sizzix, we've got some Ranger, and we, of course, have some Scorched Timber. Very excited about this. And check out the teeny tiny blenders. And I've got a small restock of some favorite Ideology products. We're going to be taking a closer look at these today before we dive into a full-length project that features Scorched Timber. So first, I want to start with the Tonic Travel Media Mat Surface. I am so happy to see this. It's definitely been something that I was hoping to see in the future from Tonic and Tim Holtz. The Media Mat Mini is so easy to work with, and the travel mat is just the right size, well, for travel. And I can safely say it works great for travel. It actually fits into my work backpack. And I've even brought it with me on an airplane to Hawaii, and definitely on a few other trips where a small surface was going to be very useful to have. We've got the mat. It has the plastic covered backing on it. We'll just get rid of that. We won't need that anymore. And just take this and flip it over. There we go. We've got the Tonic logo in the left-hand corner and the Tim Holtz signature in the right-hand corner. So we'll just carefully line that up. That looks about right. There we go. And now we've got a lovely work surface. That is going to be so useful. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other goodies that we got most recently. So I also have a stash of the new Tim Holtz tiny blending tools, and these are wonderful. I can't wait to get out the stencils and start playing with these. I think it's going to definitely get into some of the smaller areas for detail, and it's going to be so much easier to do multicolor stencilings. So really happy about those. They are absolutely adorable. I already opened a pack of them, and look at those. They're so tiny and they fit perfectly in the hand. Really easy to maneuver. Now, if only I could build a small stamp carousel for these. That would be perfect. I've got a large style vintage one. Kind of wondering if I can make a custom mini one, but that's a project for another day. But an interesting thought. So, got these to play with. That's going to be fun. Since I was already craft supply shopping, I also decided to get some regularly used products. I've got some more collage medium on hand. Lately, I've been going through a lot of resist spray, so figured this would probably get me through the entire year. Love this, and it's great for stenciling techniques and other resist things. So I've got those, and it is winter, and that means the heat is on, so I did want to make sure I had some extra distress refresher around, just in case some of the ink pads start to dry out a little bit. Haven't had any issues before, but this is also really useful for a leather technique, faux leather technique using Ranger leather cracked paper, which can be really cool. Speaking of leather cracked paper, I happened to get a large package of that from Ranger, and that will be for future products. So when I got that, it reminded me of this. Definitely good things to have on hand. So I'll just set that aside. Don't need that at the moment. All right. So these were restock items. And let's see here. What else did we get? I also stocked up on these Ideology bouquet flowers. Can't remember if they're discontinued or might be discontinued. Either way, I love these and I want a good stash of these for future projects. Because as you saw in the 2023 Halloween vignette make, they were perfect for a creepy garden decor look. So, I also got a foundation. I've got this Ideology Tim Holtz mini clipboard. These are really fun to create on. I'm kind of thinking I'd like to do something Valentine's related with this, or maybe something Easterish. Not sure yet, but at least I've got it, and it will be a wonderful jumping off point for a later date project. Okay, and basics for restocking. I've also gotten some more distressed clear rock candy and some mica flakes. Now, with the distressed clear rock candy, I have got tons of clear rock candy. However, if I start draining these jars, my plan is to just top it off with the mini jars because I really, really, really love that vintage label. So whenever these start to get empty, I can always refill. And of course, at the same time, had to grab some more mica flakes. Now, a couple other Ideology things that I happened to pick up include the layered frames. I really enjoyed these, so I was happy to see them still around, and they'll just be great for some card making. And we've also got the toadstools. I love these, and they are so fun to use in different projects, especially around Halloween, so figured I might as well grab another pack while I was out shopping. And now, on to the main thing. We have got the brand new Tim Holtz color, Scorched Timber. Scorched Timber is very, very cool. I love the look of this, and it is going to be so much fun to create with. So, of course, we've got the ink pad and the oxide. We've got the Distress Spray Stain and the oxide. We've got a re-inker. We've got the glaze. We've got the oxide re-inker. Some distress paint. The lovely collectible pin, which we're going to be putting into the bulletin board display. And of course, we have got the watercolor pencil. I've got the crayons on order, and hopefully they'll be in within a week or so. But either way, welcome Scorched Timber to the Distress family. This is absolutely amazing, and it is going to create some lovely backgrounds and vintage effects. All right, let's go ahead and clear the deck, and we're going to jump in to the creative portion of today's video. Today, we're going to be creating a card that is going to be featuring Scorched Timber. For our base, I'm using some mixed media cardstock and, of course, Scorched Timber Distress Spray Stain. We've got some Peacock Feathers Distress Spray Stain, and we also have Saltwater Taffy Distress Oxide. So we're going to be using these three colors to create our background. Let's go ahead and spritz first with the Distress Sprayer to get some water on there. That way our colors will move nice and freely. So I'm going in with the Peacock Feathers first, very generous with it. As you can see, it's already starting to flow, and we're going to get that really nice floaty feeling. And now I'm going in with Scorched Timber pretty sparingly. This color packs a punch. It's pretty darn bold, and I don't want to overwhelm the other colors. Now for some contrast, let's get the Saltwater Taffy Oxide in there. As you can see right away, as soon as it hits the water, it does start to do this lovely oxidation. And it is a beautiful, creamy color. So now I'm going to need the heat tool. Let's go ahead and see what happens. Ooh, I am so happy with the background. We've got some great flow on the ink. The Peacock Feathers is really vibrant over here, and it is good. Now, floral outlines, CMS 0. We're going to be creating a background with this, and we're going to be pulling in the stamp set to add some more visual interest to our fantastic inky backdrop. Absolutely love the sprays. Now, for inking up the stamp, we're going to want some Distress Archival Black Soot. So we've got that, and we're just going to stamp a few times on our background. There we go. And I'm thinking I'll probably need to stamp about 3 times to get really good coverage on here. And once we stamp, then we just go back in and add more ink. I love the floral outlines. They always stamp really crisply, and they're great for backgrounds as well as focal points. It's definitely one of the more versatile stamp sets that I find myself reaching for pretty often. It's definitely a good one. All right, more ink, and let's stamp that out for the 3rd time. Okay, good. So that would be more of the background. I like that. It's kind of subtle, and it goes great with everything else. All right, so I'm just quickly drying this off with the Ranger Heat tool. It's a little bit humid right now, so my inks are just a tad more, I don't know, maybe a little more sticky than normal, a little bit more water retention, not sure, but Ranger Heat tool easily dries things off. Okay, next, we are going to go over this with the anti-static pouch, and we're going to be adding some Distress Glaze Scorched Timber to our card. So I like to go over card bases with the anti-static pouch just to avoid any splotches for things that I don't quite want in different areas. So now we're going to be going in with another stamp set. Here we have Lattice and Flourish. This is CMS 257. We're going to be using the Flourish stamp, and we're going to be stamping with some Distress Embossing ink. And in this case, we're going to be using the Distress Dabber. And then we'll be able to apply some Scorched Timber to our background. So I'm just going to grab the dabber. Now, when I store the dabber, I always keep it upside down. That way the ink is always ready to go. So we're just going to take the dabber, and I'm going to tap that right onto our stamp, and then we'll be able to stamp that down and then add our glaze. Now, I'm actually not covering the entire stamp with the embossing ink. I want this to be a little bit more splotchy, kind of unpredictable. So we're just putting ink on some of the parts of the stamp and leaving other parts blank. Since this is a background, I don't want to overwhelm the gorgeous flowers that we already stamped in here. So that's why we're being a little bit more imprecise with the stamping. Okay, so we've got that, good firm pressure, and let's check this and make sure that we have a stamped background. And the answer is yes, we do. If you tilt this, you can easily see the bit of a sheen that we have from the Distress Embossing ink. All right, scrap paper. We've got our Scorched Timber glaze. We're just going to pour that right on there. There we go. Ooh, that is definitely going to look really good. Beautiful contrast to our background. Give it a little tap on the side. Excellent. And now we can just set that off to the side, and we're going to carefully pour the rest of that powder back into the jar. Okay. That should be pretty good. We can just set the scrap paper aside and cap the Scorched Timber glaze. Now we're going to need the Sizzix embossing heat gun to melt the embossing powder. So let's go ahead and take care of that right now. I love the Sizzix embossing gun because it's got 2 heat settings on it. We've got a low heat, which I do like using for frosted crystal, but then we've also got the high heat setting, which I find works beautifully for glaze. Heats everything up very nicely and pretty quickly. Okay, so we're just kind of working our way around the card, and then we'll take a closer look at this background. There we go. Just a little bit more on this side. As I turn the card, any parts that are shiny are completely done, and any parts that still appear matte are still in powder form and have yet to be melted. So that should be pretty good. I'm already loving the look of this background. All right, setting aside the embossing tool, let's take a closer look. Ooh, yep, Scorched Timber is working. All right, now on to the next step. I've decided that I definitely want a border on here, and we're going to be using the ATG gun, and I'll be outlining the rest of the card with some decorative washi tape from Tim Holtz and Ideology. Okay, so we'll start with this first side and run the tape down. This is about a 1/2 inch section of tape, and that's going to make a nice wide border for us. So leaving a little bit at the end so that I can tuck them behind the card base. All right, let's put the rest of this part on fast forward. So here we have our completed card base. We've got the embossing and we've got the washi tape frame. Now on to the next part. We're going to start altering some pieces for the main focal point of the card. Here I've decided to pull in some distressed watercolor pencils. We've got some Rustic Wilderness, Twisted Citron, some of the brand new Scorched Timber, and some mustard seed. I decided it'd be a good idea to take these out for a play before more sets become available, hopefully at the beginning of February. So, for the centers of the flowers, I'm using the Scorched Timber to color in these segments. Now, the cool thing about the watercolor pencils is that we can use them like regular colored pencils and color down our colors, and then after we can go in with a water brush and then get this really cool watercolor effect. I love the pencils because it's easy to keep a point on them, and that means it's easy to get into small detail places. Now, the other side of this is, since this is a water-based medium, we don't have to be perfect when coloring. We just need to get the color down and then go in with the water brush. So, for the flowers, we used mustard seed. Let's put the rest of this on fast forward. Now that we have these florals completed, let's go ahead and start putting together our elements for the card. So the flowers that I colored in were part of an old Ideology SKU known as engravings. Here we have a paper doll that I had altered a while ago with some frosted crystal and some of the distress reinkers. So we're just going to add these beautiful translucent wings on the back. Again, another blast from the past from Ideology. The transparent wings, and we'll just turn this into a little fairy. Now, I do want to glue down the flowers first. We're just going to be using some collage medium, and that's going to give our little fairy a landing zone. Okay, so let's take that. We'll go ahead and stick that right onto our card base. Good. And I'm just going to hold that for a second or two to let the glue get a grip, and then we'll move back to the fairy. So over here, I do want to pull in some foam squares. That's going to give our card a little bit more dimension, so we'll just stick 2 foam squares on the back of this little fairy, and then add that right onto the florals. Okay, let's peel off those backings. Good. Sometimes these can be a little hard to get, and if it's really, really hard, I'll occasionally bring in the dye pack. But for the most part, my fingernails seem to be working pretty well. All right, let's go ahead and stick this onto our card. Okay. I think I'm happy with that. All right, maybe we'll just move her over a little bit. I kind of want the fairy offset just a bit because I kind of want to bring in some extra pieces of Ideology ephemera. I always have quite the stash, And I am trying very, very hard to use my stash this year before all of those wonderful new things start rolling in. Okay, so here are some pieces of ephemera that I've decided to pull in. And we're just going to add some glue to these, and we're going to do a mini collage on this card. And we're just going to kind of tuck them in and around the flowers and our little fairy. So this piece is going to kind of give her a spot to stand. That's going to anchor the base of the card. Good. And next we've got this fun circle, and let's put that right behind her head. There we go. Have to pull that up a little bit, but we can sneak that in there and then press everything back down. Okay, good. And we've got a couple other little pieces. I've got some numbers, and I've got something that looks like a vintage tag that might have gone on an apothecary bottle. So a little bit more collage medium. Stick these random number pieces over here. It is fun to add number elements. It's like they don't have to have a particular significance, but sometimes just numbers can add something interesting to a creation. Okay. And let's put this little piece over here. A little bit more collage medium. Good. And we'll go ahead and stick that down. Okay, I am definitely really happy with this. I love adding collaged elements to cards. All right, next, we're going to pull in the Tim Holtz Ideology Metallic Sticker Book. These are absolutely wonderful little sticker quotes. They add a perfect sentiment to cards, and I absolutely love that they come in the black and white stickers and that they've got the gold metallic lettering on them. So this one says, "Believe in the magic," which is quite appropriate since we have this cute little fairy at the front of the card. So, definitely pretty happy with this, but I think we will be adding some Ideology metallic droplets. I love the droplets, and those have really been something I have used a lot in the past year. I don't know what it is. They just add a wonderful finishing touch to cards. And bonus, they are super shiny, and I do love adding shiny things to cards. So today we're going to be using some of the golden drops, and we're just going to stick one in each corner, and I've already got down a dot of collage medium. The droplets are also pretty cool because they come in a variety of different sizes, so depending on what you are working on, you'll have just the right size for your project. All right, we've got droplets.